Will AI replace graphic designers? Well, it's pretty much the existential question echoing through agencies, freelance studios, and design schools right now. I mean, think about it. If a machine can spit out a logo or a full web layout in literally seconds, what exactly happens to the human behind the screen?
But hey, before the panic sets in, consider this quote. We're going to be in a world where there is just wonky shelves at scale. This is such a brilliant metaphor from brand designer James Martin. He realized that whenever he tries to put up shelves in his own office to save a little time and money, they always end up crooked. He uses the wrong drill, the wrong fixings, and then he just has to stare at his own bad work every single day. Do-it-yourself tools and AI can definitely produce super fast results, but without actual expertise, they're fundamentally flawed. They're really just wonky shelves.
So welcome to this explainer. Today, we're basically putting together your ultimate survival guide masterclass for creative professionals. We're pulling some amazing insights from a decade-long design veteran on Reddit, career strategies from UX expert Vitaly Friedman, and the unapologetic wisdom of James Martin. Together, they outline exactly how you can thrive in an industry that is just saturated with instant generation tools.
Okay, let's dive into this. We're going to map out your career survival guide across 4 core pillars: the wonky shelf era, the golden rules of craft, the business of design, and finally, reputation and taste.
Part 1. The wonky shelf era. Let's look at the current reality of our tool-saturated industry. So, a wonky shelf isn't just a piece of bad design, right? It is the direct result of taking shortcuts to save time up front, while completely skipping the actual critical thinking process. James Martin makes this great point that sure, anyone can generate a billion designs a day using this accessible tech, but if you never stop to ask, wait, why am I doing this? Or who is this actually for? The results are completely hollow. AI, at least right now, is really just scaling these wonky shelves. It gives folks the illusion of completion, but without any foundation of strategy.
Part 2, golden rules of craft. This is where we talk about mastering the baseline.
So how do you avoid building wonky shelves? We're pulling some pure, battle-tested wisdom here from a designer who recently shared 10 years of hard-learned lessons on Reddit. These are your non-negotiables, so let's hit them rapid fire. First up, don't start without a clear brief. Honestly, a beautiful design completely fails if it doesn't hit the goal. Second, typography is literally 50% of good design. If your fonts are wrong, there is nothing that can save that layout. Third, white space is a power tool. It is not empty space. It's what instantly makes a design feel premium. And finally, my absolute favorite, feedback is data. It's not an attack. Just filter what's useful, ignore what isn't, and take your ego completely out of the equation.
So the crucial point is this. The client isn't buying a logo. They're buying confidence. They want clarity, they want direction, and they want the peace of mind that they're in the hands of a true professional. When you master your craft, you aren't just selling a visual file. You are actively reducing the commercial risk for your client. You're selling them the absolute certainty that their shelf is not going to fall down. Part 3, the business of design. Time to evolve your mindset.
Once your craft is solid, you've got to shift your perspective from pixel pusher to business strategist. There's a stark contrast to understand here. Art is personal expression. Design is solving a business problem. A veteran creative director pointed out that a lot of people enter this industry because they're arty, but design actually uses art to help a business sell something. When you finally learn to detach your ego from the art, and you start evaluating concepts strictly by whether they solve the client's brief, the business of design becomes so much less stressful. You stop defending a cool idea and start talking about what actually works for the client's goals.
And this brilliantly illustrates where you might apply those skills, drawing on some great advice from Vitaly Friedman. He breaks down the trade-offs of where you choose to work because, well, you simply cannot have it all. In a startup, you get super high ownership, but really low stability and incredibly high stress. Midnight fixes are just the norm. Over in a corporation, you get great stability and low stress, but very low ownership over the final product. Agencies kind of offer varied ownership and medium stability, but high stress because of the constant deadlines. And freelance? High ownership for sure, but low stability and high stress from constantly chasing your next lead. You really have to clearly define what matters most to you at whatever stage of your career you're currently in. And speaking of career stages, keep this specific number in mind, 12 to 18. That's months, by the way. Vitally notes that switching companies every 12 to 18 months is typically how you secure significant salary bumps in this industry. But here's the catch. If you jump too fast, say under 8 months, it definitely raises red flags for hiring managers. And if you jump too often, you might end up with zero real ownership because you never stay long enough to actually see the impact of your work. So it's all about balancing the financial strategy with the need to build a truly meaningful portfolio.
Part 4. Reputation and taste. This is the human advantage.
Let's move to and see how this builds into an unstoppable career. We've covered the tools, the rules, and the business, so now we reveal the human elements that technology simply cannot automate. This is James Martin's chronological DEEDs model for building a reputation. Step 1. Decide what you want to be known for. You literally need an azimuth, a clear direction. Step 2. Educate yourself in alignment with that goal. Read everything you can get your hands on. Step 3. Evidence the process. Build your case studies, create frameworks, get those testimonials. Step 4. Demonstrate the proof. You must market yourself. Evidence is completely useless if no one ever sees it. And step 5. Stay in the game. You just have to survive long enough for your efforts to compound.
Because when you do stay in the game, you develop something a machine currently cannot. AI scales execution, but it absolutely cannot scale taste. Tools are going to evolve. Tech is definitely going to get faster. But cultivated human judgment, that's irreplaceable. Taste comes from consuming work, experiencing different cultures, failing, learning, and really caring deeply about the outcome. That intrinsic motivation, actually caring about the craft, is what separates a future-proof designer from someone just pressing the generate button.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, let's be real. The tools are only going to get faster, and the wonky shelves, they are going to multiply. You have a massive choice to make right now about exactly where you fit into this new landscape. So I want to leave you with this one provocative question to answer for yourself today. What are you going to be known for?